All the whole jack, beat steady knocking. Middle of the stage, got the whole club rocking. Nigga, you can hate, but your bitch steady watching. Bitch, you can't do it on the dick, she popping. We bottle popping, you cop blocking. Told the girl you rap with your CD flopping. Say you getting money, man, we ain't seen nothing. Your girl is persistent, she ain't stopping. Man, she say she want a hood nigga. I keep the perk by the pound. The truck stay bunkin', y'all know we run the town. Yeah, and I keep a bad bitch around. Big bitch, long hair, yellow, white, red, brown. Yeah, that right? Yeah, y'all know who I be. Yeah, I'm hood nigga number one now, man. You gotta change with the climate, man. Yeah. So tell them who I be. Hood nigga.
They need some WD-40 or whatever smart guys would actually put on there. I always get yelled at when I say that. They're like, don't use WD-40, young man, you dumb fuck. Use that. You're going to fuck up the machine. I was like,
specialty lube.
It was a stand-in for lubes. I don't know lubes, okay, old man? God damn.
What's up, guys?
What's
up, you guys?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Large Lads with me, your host, Big Sam, Constantinople, and... what's that? The big guy isn't here. Actually, Max just has a important training session today. Got held late at work. I was going to give him a hard time about it. I was going to give him a severe bullying for missing another Large Lads. But I was like, Max is in prep. Contest preps kind of supersede all. He's doing a good job right now, kind of like... putting off thinking about anything else until that's wrapped up. Like,
he's just like for the last 3 weeks, right?
Exactly. He's just like for the next 3 weeks of my life, there's like my thought process, I'm going to be tired, and my thought processes that I do have remaining are going to revolve around how to get ready for each session.
Yeah.
And I get it. So we're not bullying the big fella today. But I figured you and I could hop on here.
Yes.
Good. We'll see. This could be a shit show. I don't think it's going to be super good. Kirsten was unbelievably nervous before this to do the two-man cast.
Yes.
We're going to see how it goes. So I figured we would start with training from this past week since last Large Lads. What's been going on?
Training recap.
What has big Klongatron been lifting?
Shoulders are at all-time strongest.
Let's fucking
go. So that's really sick.
What are you running for shoulders right now?
I'm doing...
running in terms of exercises.
I'm doing seated... like, would that be called military press?
Yeah, seated overhead press.
Yeah, seated overhead press. I've been liking that.
Yep.
One of my clients gifted me a women's bar.
Yep.
So I've been enjoying putting more weight on the women's bar because it only weighs 35 pounds. So that's been fun. A shit ton of lateral raises. We were talking about this the other day about depending on how much people believe in regional hypertrophy, I'm swapping out. I was only doing dumbbell lateral raises because I like those a lot better, but I'm adding in some cable because I don't want to have big upper lateral delt and small lower lateral delt. I think that's a really bad aesthetic. Even though that's probably largely genetic, I'm going to do what I can to have a rounded lateral delt.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you're doing on that day?
I was watching a Meg Sylvester video, and she does Y raises like on a super high incline bench. So I think you saw me do those the other day for the first time.
Yeah.
Significantly less weight used than in my dumbbell lateral raises, which makes sense for the exercise. So pending how I feel about those, I think I'm going to do that.
Running a little bit of a test run, so to speak.
Experiment.
Have I ever showed you that compilation of LeBron James lying for no reason?
No.
It's a rough one. It's been stuck in my head all afternoon. I saw that popped up in my feed again the other day, and I clicked it. It's for no. I'll show it to you after this. It's for no reason. It's like one of those ones where it's just like he just says it's not even like advantageous things to say. Where like, oh, this guy's lying to get ahead. He's just lying. Just be saying shit. I don't know why.
I can't. Every time someone says LeBron James, I just think of the video of him squatting. I can't see anything else. I only see squats. The 95-pound LeBron squat.
Well, my training has been going fucking fantastic.
Yeah, you had a 6 squat.
Yeah, my dips are coming along really well. I went and I checked back the archive. The nice part about having that YouTube or the Instagram training log is I can go back and look. And I assumed I was a little bit stronger than I am right now when I was prepping for the 600 bench, but we're already ahead of those numbers. Nice. I'm heavier, and also I'm ahead of those numbers. So we're the strongest we've ever been on dips. Onward and upward, going to see if we could do some big sets there. People on the internet love dips, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of hoping the channel grows from. I'm hoping those get some views, and the channel will grow from that. Big ass squat PR.
Big ass squat PR.
So the large lads will be hearing about this. This will be going up. The large lads should go up Thursday.
Yeah.
This should go up. The squat PR should go up on Friday.
Nice.
It's coming along.
It's going.
Dude, I am the eldest son of the Sheather family. I'm going to defend my title.
That's true.
I'm coming back.
Impromptu
Max
squat
got
PR.
way ahead of me. And I was, I was like, I can't tell if I'm coping.
Yeah.
Because I squatted like 715 4 or 5 years ago, back at Spanaway, back when we lived in Washington.
Was that the one out of the mono?
Mm-hmm. And
I remember that.
I had then started kind of focusing on strongman more, and I was still training my legs quite hard, and I was still squatting, but it was almost exclusively squatting for reps, and most of that was on the SSB. And I got to the point where I did the 725 on the SSB, and I'm like, well, that must mean I didn't just like get super over specialized at the SSB, did I? That must mean when I go back to like a regular squat, I'll be stronger. And I kept telling myself that, and I kept worrying, like, what if I am just a weird SSB specialist?
Right, because sometimes that does happen.
It can absolutely.
Especially, I noticed this happened quite a few times with the cambered bar.
Yep.
Something about the cambered bar, it should be harder,
like
but
the,
some
the
people,
big squat camber.
yeah, some people
it
can
shouldn't
really
not necessarily the center of mass dropping down to your hip. Once you get used to it, yes, it is a little bit more unstable, but once you get used to it, you can absolutely game the fact that center of mass is dropped way down to your hip.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny the number of people we've seen do a cambered bar block and then hit like all-time strength and then be like, I'm way stronger.
And then weirdly, it never translates to the following straight bar block.
Yeah.
The SSB is more mechanically. I was like telling myself, like the SSB just mechanically is a harder bar.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get guys who are like really, really like mid back dominant, and you can see they're doing it this way. And it's like, okay, I can see why that wouldn't translate directly.
Yeah.
I was like maintaining my posture, and I was like, this must translate. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank golly fucking
It
goodness.
translated.
That was gonna be really embarrassing if I told everyone publicly on the internet for like 5 years. But guys, it's just wait.
Trust me.
Okay. Fuck. Thank God. It's going great. I was right.
Yes.
I'm really kind of learning the value of like, it's been cool every time I've set one of these like, these objectives of like this lift. I've learned about that lift, which is like kind of a big part of why I like them.
Yeah.
And even though I haven't been documenting it well on the YouTube, in my last 2 months of working on my squat, I've really come to learn like, all right, so when we shift our knees out and we really like externally rotate, like rotation, like big knees out, like push them towards the walls to the side, spread the floor, twist, all these external rotation, knees out dominant cues. We can get like a nice stretch on our adductor. We can potentially get a little bit deeper. And you get this really nice torque at your hip, which can kind of bind you up right at parallel. And so you'll see a lot of guys will be these like very external rotation heavy technique models. And I think a lot of that's that torque at the hip. They really, really want that.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to realize the value, like that has value, but there's also value to leaving the knee more neutral straight ahead, like some people's squat models, because when that knee stays a little bit more neutral, we have that little bit more access to internal rotation, and we have a little bit more stretch on the glute. And so you load into the glute on the way down, because I had been going so knees out for so long that all I could feel was loading my quads and my adductors on the negative.
Yeah.
And now that I'm working a little bit more unilateral volume, so that's slightly more IR dominant accessories and trying to stay a little bit more midline with my knee, I can feel that I'm loading into my glute on the negative. Whereas before I felt like I was like just loading all into the adductor.
Do you think
It's
that's
feeling
why
strong.
Your bottom position looks a lot more like sturdy than like something about your bottom position when you were driving the knees out looked always like not right or maybe inconsistent to me with like no knowledge of why that would be. Like I just always like that looks kind of weird. But now it looks really sturdy.
Yeah, I think part of that is if the only way you know how to stabilize your knees side to side in a squat is by going topped out all the way out or just letting them flick all the way in. What happens is you'll go down in a position that isn't sustainable. You can go down with this position, but you're not strong enough to stand up that way. So they're going to have to rock into an actually strong position. Yeah. And if they're going to have to rock in anyway, why not just put them in that somewhat out, like out enough to get to depth, right? But not maximally out. And that requires you to learn how to stabilize your knee in just a singular plane.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're seeing is like it used to be I would go down with them maximally out and then I would shift to my strong position. I would stand up. It wasn't like super dramatic. It didn't look terrible.
No.
But it looked a little bit off to anyone that was watching it. And pushing my unilateral because like well, how do you get good at stabilizing in a mid-range? The answer is unilateral stuff, right? Because like some people think, oh, my hips are weak in the squat. You can see how unstable they are. And they think, okay, well, what am I thinking? Hips like knees in, knees out, and they get stronger on the adductor and the abductor machine, which we've seen a lot of times. Honestly, a pretty good use of time.
Yeah, helpful
if you
anyway.
do like leaned forward abductor machine at the end of your deadlift day, and just regular adductors with a big range of motion at the end of your squat day, and you just logbook those for a while and get your like 12 rep max up. A lot of lifters that does a lot of good for them, but that was all I was doing, and I wasn't focusing on just creating stability in that mid range, and that's been way more helpful. I'm really like just that ability to load into my glute on the negative has been something I had at one point and lost. Basically, I was super neutral, feet very narrow, and I was getting this great loading of the glute on the way down.
Was that when they were like slightly higher?
Yes, yeah, hey, that's where we're going with this. Back when I was the mayor of Cope City, and I would like get this great equal tensioning of like the forefoot and the heel. And that forefoot and the heel represents loading the quad, like the knee and the hip equally. A great squat loads the knee and the hip equally. And I had that balance down great.
Yeah.
And then you're a little high. In retrospect, I probably could have just shifted slightly wider and had slightly more external rotation, and I could have got the extra inch that I needed. But instead, I got in my head, and I thought I needed to rework my squat. And I reworked my squat into this wider stance, very external rotation heavy squat, which let me get significantly deeper. But it was a lot less stable. And like anything else, it's just an overcorrection, right? It's like the right answer was in the middle. It was a hair wider and a hair more externally rotated. But I remember I was doing a ton of split squats when I first was doing that, and it was working great. It's like, don't throw the whole thing out. 90% of it's working. You just need, like, Max even told me, he was like, yeah, I saw that. I was like, yeah, it was a little high, but I really think you could have just made some very small positional tweaks and not reworked it.
Yeah.
But I have very flexible hips, and probably pretty narrow, shallow hip sockets, right? Because people with deep hip sockets can't have as much mobility. My hips move pretty well, at least in terms of like my adductors are very flexible. And so I was like, oh, I'll just squat like Toshiki and really kind of open up at my hips. Really, really like that. A lot of that depth is coming from opening at the hips. Like it's very frontal plane heavy, which just wasn't necessary. I had something there. I just needed to spend a little bit of time on the AB ductor machine on top of the program I was already doing, just to make it so I felt healthy and stable, taking my stance 1 to 2 inches wider.
Yeah.
It didn't need to like continue to progress out, right?
Yeah.
I do like including like the adductor machine for people when they're making a stance change, just to make sure the adductor's a little strong. Because like it's pretty common to like, oh, I'm gonna throw my stance out, and then just I strained my adductor.
Yeah,
didn't exactly give yourself very long to adapt to that one.
Yeah.
Same thing with like every now and then a guy will switch to flats. And, I strained my adductor. Like, it didn't give yourself very long. You just randomly on a max out week was, well, what if I squat more in flats?
Yeah.
I've done it. It's dumb.
Funny enough, I'm also squatting like that, more like that now with that really aggressive knees forward.
Yeah.
Squat is the last lift that I feel like I did not know how to do, right? Like I think my first couple deadlifts, I had hinging down pretty good. I loved benching right away. I got pretty good at bench form pretty fast. And I just never, like, when I was powerlifting, don't feel like I ever had a good grasp of what a squat was supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have.
When you had squats that looked okay, I feel like it's one of those things where you can make it externally look okay.
Yeah.
But if you know your lift, you know internally, like, I'm not feeling the things I'm supposed to feel.
Or the tension's always, like, there's not tension through the whole lift. I was a big dive bomber, or even when they looked like I wasn't dive bombing, I didn't have tension.
Yeah.
So I was, like, somehow going an acceptable rate of slowness down, but I was still, like, doing it as though I was dive bombing, which is
interesting. Well, that's
what
Max used to say about his bench, was he felt like externally it looked good, but he knew internally there was things that good benchers were understanding about how to create tension on the way down that he wasn't getting.
Yeah, I think that's one of those, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, when you're like at the gym and you do a lift and everyone's like, that looked great, and you're like, no, it looked like shit, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I was like, it felt like it was bad.
Yeah. When we teach the squat, like there's 3 ways you can get depth, right? You could push your knee forward and load your quads. You can push your hips back and kind of load your hinge, or you can push your knees out and load your hips.
Right.
So there's great squatters that have different proportions of all of these things, right? Like John Hack is pretty pure, just push the knees forward, right? There's many great squatters who are very hingy. You have some people that are just very sagittal, like they don't push their knees out at all, but they push their knees forward and they push their hips back. Right. So they use their hinge and their quads together. There's not much hips. Like Luke Richardson was always narrow stance. He would hinge into it, but also his knees would travel forward, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, there's like all like there's like guy like Colton Engelbrecht. I'll just throw out there as like very balanced.
Yeah,
a lot of hips, maybe more hips than most, but a lot of hips. The knees still travel forward. He still uses his hinge. And I usually urge people when they can to bias towards as well-rounded as possible, because good form for strength training often is where you like split the demands across as many muscles as possible.
Right.
So we kept trying to make your squat more well-rounded in terms of where we were distributing the load. But every now and then you get a lifter whose leverages are pretty extreme, like your legs are pretty short and your torso is pretty long.
Yeah.
And they just do better off of a slightly less balanced squat.
Yeah.
Right? So your squat's been looking a little bit more like Gurf's, right? Where it is very, like, use your hinge a little bit more, right? Because your mid-bar is, I'd say, a hair lower than his. So you're loading into your hinge a hair more, but very, very neutral, like very in that sagittal plane style of squat. And it's interesting, right? Because sometimes everybody overdiagnoses it. You've coached a bunch of people at this point. Everyone always thinks they're the exception.
Yeah.
This goofy technique doesn't work for anybody, but it's the best for me.
Right.
Or did you not know how to deadlift?
Right.
Do you have are you weird? Do you have weird hip sockets? Do you have weird hip sockets, or do you have extremely inflexible hamstrings and glutes?
Yeah.
Everybody, my hip sockets are weird. Motherfucker, you're so tight in your hamstrings and glutes. You never stretch. You never train through a full range of motion for those muscles.
Yeah.
But every now and then you get someone where it's like, we've done enough testing that I think, this is going to be the move, you know?
Definitely.
And like that pure sagittal squat has just been a better fit for your body.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it helps too that I'm training for hypertrophy now. So I think I would have been way more hesitant in the past to change to that style because I would have perceived it as too far weaker than what my like low bar, well-rounded weights were. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's also a benefit.
When you were taking some tips from old Tom Platz.
Yeah.
You've had the same idea that he talked about, right? Which is like, you like weightlifting. You've always thought it was cool. You think a weightlifting squat is cool. And you're like, this style of squat seems to be applicable to bodybuilding more than it's actually used. Like an Olympic squat. On paper, it should be really good for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Why, you could get all these arguments of like, the hack squat's better. I get it. Those are good arguments.
Yeah.
But the being really good at working your quads with a barbell is one hell of a skill to have in the tank. Because then you can train anywhere.
Yeah.
You could train at any gym. They don't need to have your nice equipment. And you can get a great leg workout if you take the time to build that skill.
Yeah.
And it's like, who used an Olympic-inspired squat as a tool to develop really big quads? The guy who's famous for doing that, right?
Right.
And that's been interesting. And also, we were talking the other day about how part of that is that you've been shifting your rep ranges upward.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big deal because I think, was it Tom Platz who was talking about how you see, like powerlifter squat and weightlifter squat, but there's a lot of powerlifters and weightlifters that don't necessarily have big legs, even if their form looks like they should.
Even in weightlifting, right? Because you're exactly. It was Tom Platz, right? He would say he was buddies with Fred Hatfield.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, Fred Hatfield can squat 1,000 fucking pounds.
Yeah.
And he's got little twig legs.
Yeah.
So he's like, what does that tell me? It tells me the powerlifting squat is biased towards the buttocks, as he says. And also, he was like, I see the guys who train exclusively low rep squats and their legs aren't that big. And I see the guys who train higher reps on the squats and their legs look a certain way. John Meadows said the same thing. He's like, when John Meadows was working out at Westside, he's like, the powerlifters that trained for reps looked different than the powerlifters that trained exclusively low reps.
Yeah.
And you can even see it with weightlifters. There's lifters who have tremendously strong quads and they don't look that developed in the quads. And that would just a really obvious thing. But it's like, okay, well, the Olympic high bar squat, when done for low reps, is a really, really, really good tool for strengthening the quads.
Yep.
And the Olympic high bar squat, when done for higher reps, is a really, really, really good tool for growing the quads. But you kept going into those lower rep ranges, and it's like, that's the strength of the quads is kind of secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's one of those where it's like uniquely brutal to do a high rep set. Yeah. So it's just, you just have to push through the acclimation period of, God damn it, I'm just going to do like no weight and do a shit ton of reps, and then I'll get used to it, and then I'll be able to put weight on the bar. But we discussed this a while ago, but you were trying to convince me to try leg extensions before my squats. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That's dumb, for like 3 weeks. And I thought about it like every few days. I would think about it for a while. Then I was like, that's not dumb. I really should just try that because so many good bodybuilders do that. And I always coped because I was like, the reason they do that is to pre-exhaust. Because that's, even though obviously a lot of them do it to get a good mind muscle connection and then go do their squats. But I was like, well, they can get away with doing that first because they're so strong that even pre-exhausted, they're getting enough stimulus from their squats because they're so strong. And then I was like, I'm an idiot if I don't try this one time. And then I went and did my leg extension sets, and then I did pretty close to what I do anyway on my squats, even though I went ham on my leg extensions, and then my quads were sore for like 3 days after, even though that was like, and they were way more sore than they usually are, even though soreness is blah blah blah, not a perfect proxy for
Kirsten,
it's not a perfect for hypertrophy, whatever.
Shut the fuck up.
It was a really
Tell them how you feel, Kirsten.
It was a good workout.
Say what you say with the cameras off, baby.
So I was convinced.
I will say, man, sure, okay, run marathon, you'll be real sore. Wasn't a good hypertrophy stimulus. Okay, if I did 3 sets of 8 to 12, let's just say 8 to 12, on quad movement A.
Yeah.
And then I also did 3 sets of 8 to 12 on quad movement B.
And then my quads.
One of them made me way more sore than the other.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a dumb fuck.
Yeah.
I got a comment be like, dumb Reuter dude can't do anything without gear. I'm like, fuck, you got me. Right? Maybe I'm a dumb big Reuter guy. I'm going to pick exercise B.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep picking exercise B. The PSYOP can't get me. I'm not going to stop picking exercise B in that scenario.
Yeah. I also think it's helpful that...
maybe if you... go ahead. If you train higher reps and you get more sore on the same movement, but everything else equated.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
rep range equated, right? Everything,
Yeah, because I get it. Maybe you'll bias your training towards higher and higher reps if you over soreness chase.
Right.
Okay, sure. Especially if you over pump chase.
Yeah.
Bias higher and higher reps. Okay, sure. But also, I think with some exercises, the rep range changes what muscle is the rate limiter. Because whatever is the rate limiter is what's trained most effectively.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same reason that everybody... This always pisses me off. No one ever apologized. Everybody called every bodybuilder in the 2000s like, dumbass, Reuter, dummy, because you're not locking out your bench presses.
You're doing half reps.
Half reps, zero.
0 reps accomplished.
And it's like, he has a great intuitive feel on how to train. If depending on what kind of science lifters you listen to, it's either lengthened partials or it's simply removing the part of the range of motion where the triceps are the limiting factor to make sure the chest is the limiting factor. That's not that crazy.
Yeah, not recommended for powerlifting, but for bodybuilding.
When I lock out, I feel like my triceps are limiting me out my chest. I'm trying to do this as a chest exercise. That's smart.
Yeah.
Where's the apology? Everybody called these guys dumb. What the fuck? But I think sometimes you can also, not just, modifying the range of motion to make sure the target muscle is the rate limiter. You can also modify the rep range. Because I was telling you this, when I squat for higher reps, I can tell my legs eventually my legs get so tired they fail.
Yeah.
When I, personally, especially as a longer torso lifter, but a lot of guys are like this, when I squat for lower reps, my torso is what's the rate limiter.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right? And, you can extrapolate that to my strength goals, which is when I'm squatting for reps, I need to do good mornings to make sure that I'm challenging torso. I need something where torso integrity is the rate limiter.
Yeah.
Because that's the rate limiter when it's heavy.
Yeah.
My legs will get bigger and bigger and bigger training for high repetitions, but I need to prepare the thing that gives me problems when it's heavy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them getting my legs have been strong enough to squat a lot for a long time. A long time. My legs have been plenty strong to squat a lot. It's getting my torso stronger.
Yeah.
But in terms of bodybuilding, that means I don't want my torso to be the rate limiter.
I don't need that.
I can just exclusively train for these higher reps. And I've always found that when you train the squat for higher reps, you make it a lot more likely that the legs are the rate limiter, not your technique, not your kind of mid-back integrity.
Yeah.
And that kind of was the Tom Platz's observation was okay, the high bar squat checks all these boxes for quads, but then I want to make sure that I do it for high repetitions.
Yeah. I also think the leg extension that we have being one of my favorite exercises ever in the whole world is also beneficial because then I get to do that first and I get to kind of be a jackass and chase weights that are heavier.
The plate-loaded prime one being look at this, it's 3 plates on each pit.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Being able to hit plate increments on the leg extension is tremendously motivating. I've heard a couple of guys, one day, once we're rich, once the YouTube videos are doing good, I want to get a prime leg extension in the garage, and I don't have strong feelings yet, because I think that's the best leg extension. Just my personal opinion. It's the best leg extension I've ever used. I don't have strong feelings about the hamstring curl. One of my clients was saying the other day, which I thought was a good point. I'll take a a regular lying hamstring curl over a bad seated one.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how many studies say seated are better overall.
Yeah.
Of course, if I had to pick and I had a good seated and a good lying, I'm doing the good seated. Like I think that's true. I like it because it makes me a little bit more flexible. I feel like my hamstrings grow a little bit more. But oh my God, a shitty seated hamstring curl, it's not even worth using. I will just go do lying ones.
It's been so long since I've used a reasonable seated hamstring curl that I can't even imagine that one exists. I'm just like, all of those machines are garbage. Use a lying curl.
Unfortunately for you, the one in our before you were really gym cell pill, the one in our college was sick. It felt so good.
Brutal.
I don't remember what brand. They had matching stuff. So whatever brand outfitted our college, it might have been like a hammer. It wasn't.
I think it was like hammer strength or something.
Yeah, but it was a stack loaded. Maybe it was hammer strength.
Yeah.
It felt great. It was a great machine.
Yeah. That's so funny.
What were we saying before that?
You were talking about.
Yeah, bail me out here.
Oh no! What were you talking about? Cut, and then we'll reopen.
All right, we legitimately had to cut because neither of us could remember.
We lost our train of
I was talking
thought.
about I'm going to get a prime leg extension because my favorite leg extension, but I don't have strong feelings yet on the hamstring curl.
Yeah.
And I've heard a few. You and I will sit there and eat our meals, our lifter slop.
Yes.
And we'll just toss up like the computer or phone and we'll watch just like random bodybuilder day of eating. It just makes, I don't know, it's just kind of the tradition, right? I've heard multiple, and like I kind of pick up on like what they say is the best equipment, even though I'm not bodybuilding. You're kind of becoming equipment. You're a machine brain,
machine pilled or whatever.
Yeah. I've heard a couple people say they don't like the prime plate loaded lying hamstring curl. Because I was like, I'm not going to lie. The leg extension being plate loaded makes me more motivated to go train for it. Because I'm like, hey, you fucking pussies. I'm leg extensioning 5 plates on 2 of the pegs. What the fuck? It makes me very motivated to train it. Like, aside from the fact that I think it's the best machine, you can alter the strength curve. You can get a great stretch. Most leg extensions, you need to go get the yoga pads, which it's worth going and getting those, by the way. If you're doing leg extensions and you can't get a full stretch, you can buy one of those Hulsa pads, extend it, get a bigger stretch. I swear it's better. It's a lot better. So I was kind of thinking for the longest time, I'll just get the matching lying hamstring curl, so I'll have the same motivation. But I heard like Nick Walker say he didn't like the lying prime hamstring curl. I want to say Martin Fitzwater said he didn't like the lying prime hamstring curl. And Prime doesn't sell a seated plate loader.
Interesting.
If they had a seated plate loader, that's what I would get. But I'm like, okay, I like the plate loaded. I don't like assembling a stack. I don't like how expensive it is to ship a stack. I don't like how expensive it is, period.
Yeah.
I don't like stack loaded stuff I like plate loaded stuff, actually, because I am lazy.
We'll
really.
have to tour a bunch of gyms before you buy your hamstring curl of choice.
That's legitimately kind of where I'm at with it. Is like, I'm like, there's got a big lead time, but I want to get a prime one for out in the garage once we have a little bit of money. It's like very much on my to-do list.
Well, plus we split it 3 ways, so that makes
spending
it
money.
Yeah.
But I'm very motivated too. That would bring me a lot of joy to walk out into my garage and see the best. It's literally the best leg extension. He's like, I feel like we've got that with the belt squat, the Rogue. I'll put the Rogue belt squat against any belt squat. I like it quite a bit. I'm like, we got the best one money can buy, baby. I would be very happy about that, but I want to finally be a smart home gym owner and research properly and buy once.
Yeah.
Rather than impulsively buy twice and try to save money.
Yeah, it sucks to have to resell and then upgrade.
Yeah, but it's learning, right? Like I didn't have the money either, and being able to train knee. Honestly, if I was smart, I would have just continued training my knee flexion off the glute ham raise.
Yeah.
That's plenty good for me. It works great for me. It's a good exercise. I could have just done those indefinitely until I had the money for a nicer hamstring curl. But we've gone through 3 generations of plate loaded hamstring curl leg extensions.
Yeah, we got our first hamstring curl leg extension is really shitty, but we bought it. It was listed on Facebook Marketplace in they're outside of the main town. There's the Richie Richville, and they were selling it from up there. So we were like, oh shit, this some rich guy bought this and he's selling it for cheaper. And we went up there and there was literally, do you remember this? There was a garage sale tag on it for less money than he sold it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was absolutely
bamboozled us bad, and we drove.
We're like, oh, we're driving an hour up here to get the fancy a rich person getting rid of their equipment. No, that was so frustrating.
Damn it.
And it's a plate loaded wimpy.
It was okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't terrible.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, so I want to make sure that I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the fucking tour. We don't have any gyms here.
Yeah.
But, next time we're in Washington, I'm going to do the tour, and I'm going to use every hamstring curl. And if I have to get a plate load, if I buy an old used one, awesome, so be it. Mm-hmm. I just want one that feels good.
Yeah.
If I'm now at the point where I'm like, all right, I've got enough stuff in the home gym that it's like, it's complete. All I want to do at this point is make upgrades. If it's not an upgrade, I'm not spending the money. So I'm like, but I want to find what I need to do enough research to even know what my favorite hamstring curl is, because most of the hamstring curls I've done in my life at this point are on the random no brand one our gym has, which is pretty solid actually.
I actually really like that one.
If they're sentimentally attached to it too.
Yeah.
But I was like, if you guys ever upgrade and are selling it, I'll just take it.
Yeah.
It's a good machine.
Yeah.
It's solid. I finally am doing the stack, so I'm gym pinning. It's a heavy stack.
Yeah.
But I'm finally gym pinning a little weight on there. It's just a solid machine. I'm sure if we had the Prime one, we'd be like, yeah, it's way better.
Yeah.
It's workable. Whereas the seated hamstring curl we have is not workable.
No. I didn't think the one before it really was either, so.
Oh, the one before it was trash.
Yeah, so we upgraded,
it would
but
pop
it's
out of the
still-
slot. It was like a genuine hazard.
Yeah.
Because the pin wouldn't go as far anymore.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
so it would
bent,
wiggle, yeah.
so it would randomly pop out of the thing and your legs would go flying up.
That's awesome.
Lawsuit waiting to happen. I'm glad they got rid of that. That was going to tank the gym.
If we ever have $1 bajillion, I'm going to collect a bunch of old Nautilus equipment.
Dude, it's tough. It's become, now that there's so many gyms everywhere, like we went to Texas, there's like a hardcore bodybuilding spot all over the place in some of these.
That's why you need $1 bajillion, so you can be like, hey, old head who runs this gym, how much money would you take for this? And then just give them a check.
Yeah, it used to be you could kind of snag these things because there was only
like
so
Facebook Marketplace.
There was exactly, people wouldn't know what they had on their
or something.
Exactly, people wouldn't know what they had on their hands.
Yeah.
And so you could get it for cheap, and there wasn't that many people competing with you.
Yeah.
But now that there's like a hardcore bodybuilding gym, and every hardcore bodybuilding gym at least has like an owner or someone who's like a real equipment guy.
Yeah.
Who's like, oh, the 90s series of Nautilus, that's where it's at. Like they're like fucking the runs, and they've used it all, and like they're willing to push a pretty penny to make sure they get like this one.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh my God, it's so hard to get some of these things. It's like, it's become so like hyper competitive to try to bid on these old machines because like, everybody knows like the Prime is good and some of the Arsenal, Arsenal's great, but they're not a guaranteed hit.
Yeah.
They got these other brands that people really like. The Mega Mass is up there with Prime. I've only used their stuff as a demo.
Oh yeah, at the Strongman.
At my contest, they had a bunch of machines, and I was like using their machines to warm up.
Awesome.
Oh, they feel so.
Cool.
I get the hype.
Yeah.
They're hard to get. They got one at what is it, Iron Temple, the gym in Washington that like Nate and everybody trains at. They got their hands on one.
Okay, we'll have to go visit that one.
They've been kind of hard to get out of Texas until now.
Interesting.
Because they're like a kind of an upcoming company.
Yeah.
Oh, their stuff is so, it feels so nice. I get why people then become like machine only guys. It's like, why would I ever do those hard free weight lifts and actually have to brace my torso? This feels fucking fantastic.
Well, you're getting sick of me telling you about the gym. My family does the family reunions in like the middle of nowhere, Northern California, and I just happened to like go to the only gym they had in town with my little brother, and it was just full of all of the best Nautilus equipment.
Like OG Nautilus.
Yeah, and it was like all rusty, but like the strength curve was I was like, I could have spent like 10 hours in there just trying all the equipment. So I'm trying to convince Sam, I'm like, next time it's a bitch to get to. You have to fly like to 4 hours away, rent a car and drive for 4 hours. So I'm like, honestly worth it to use the Nautilus equipment.
Because that stuff is great. Like, I don't know if it's a survivorship bias. Like, oh, there was a bunch of junk back then, and it's like people are like, the guys in this era of this sport were so good. It's like you don't remember all of the mid guys. You're only remembering the top guys, and you might ignore the fact that like, okay, but the average has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case with the gym equipment or if it was because like back then it was like kind of who would you consult on lifting machines? Lifters.
Yeah.
And you kind of got away from that, and so I think people just like.
So you're saying in terms of the manufacturing process, you would in the past be like, hey, lifter guy, try this before I sell it to lifter guys.
I just find more favorable strength, like the strength curve syncs up to the like the resistance curve syncs up to the internal strength curve on a lot of old pieces. They were clearly consulting someone like, this is too heavy at the bottom. Boom. Like put a cam.
Yeah, fix it.
It seems like the average was better back then. Now you got like these really well designed, nice machines that feel like dog shit.
Yeah.
And every time I find one of these rusty machines, maybe it's the shitty ones got canned and thrown out.
Yeah.
And the things they hold on to are the things we love.
Yeah.
And so every time I see one of these old rusty machines, it feels fucking like sometimes it's like it feels like, it's not a good feeling when it's like the dragging in the friction. friction for some reason feels different. It feels like shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel great. Sometimes they need some WD-40 or whatever smart guys would actually put on there. I always get yelled at when I say that. They're like, don't use WD-40, young man, you dumb fuck. Use that. You're going to fuck up the machine. I was like,
specialty lube.
It was a stand-in for lubes. I don't know lubes, okay, old man? God damn. You should clip that and put that at the beginning. But other than that, they always feel fantastic. There was this beat to shit. It was like... maybe it was Nautilus, lying hamstring curl that I demoed when I was considering buying it way back in Tacoma. Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
Built different. They don't make them like they used to.
Did Zeus make this? Like, how the hell did you get it? It's so perfect with the resistance curve. It just like was uniform. It's so heavy at the bottom, and like I find we with the hamstring curl have had to modify our training because the resistance curve is jank.
Yeah.
Right. Failing doesn't manifest as a ton of slowing.
Yeah.
It manifests as progressive range loss.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting enough out of our hamstring curls when we were a bunch of people at the gym were, and I think we've told this, but I'm going to tell it again because I think it's good. They were ending the set when they could no longer hit their butt with the pad. Right? Well, they can't hit their butt with the pad and pause it there.
Right.
That's going past your active range of motion. So that means you're ending the set when you could no longer throw the weight.
You're doing like a weird plyo rep set.
Yeah, you're doing, maybe good explosiveness training, power training.
Safe
but like,
hamstrings,
plyo. Not within the guidelines of hypertrophy training. Yeah. We're nowhere near failing. If you can't, as soon as you couldn't throw your curl anymore, you gave up, you're nowhere near fail. So then we started training like, all right, well, as long as we can get it to our active range.
Right.
Then we started taking it like a good 3 reps into range loss because that's just how it manifests on this machine.
Yeah, a little less than 90.
A little less. And we would take it like 3-4 deep into that in place of slowing, right? Like if this was a machine with a good strength curve, it would be slower. It would be more exaggerated in that way. And that's fine. But like same thing with like the rows. Yeah. The chest supported rows. Just taking those a little bit further into range loss has been a game changer.
Yeah, definitely. And then it helps that we train together on that leg day. So you watch my set, tell me if I was bitched out. I watch your set, tell you don't bitch out.
You guys got to film your hamstring curls. Yeah. If you really take a hard look at it, you can clean up your hamstring. First, stop arching the shit out of your back at the top. Lock into like a slight posterior tilt and brace your abs. Like brace like you would for a lift. So that way you can't take over with your erectors to compensate for hamstrings. You'll reduce the weight. And then be like, all right, where's my actual active range of motion?
Yep.
Go till there. Don't throw it. It's even though that's not moving with maximal intent. You only need to move with maximal intent towards the end of the set.
Yeah.
People always say, move with maximal force. Moving with maximal force just makes the early reps look kind of weird.
Yeah.
I will move with maximal force once maximal force will not throw the weight.
No, it's like, you don't need to slam the machine on the first few reps to make sure you're always moving with maximal intent.
Exactly. Yeah. Like do the first couple of reps to get a little bit of fatigue going, and then you can start really kind of ham it up. But I swear, man, film them from the side and make sure that you're going not just can't touch your butt, make sure you're not arching your back, not just till you can no longer do 90, but go 3 reps into range loss, and you will find that when you get up from a set you thought was hard, you're like, watch the video, you're like, I should have done 3 more.
Yeah.
I should have 3 more until you recalibrate it, and it's like a totally different exercise. John Meadows used to say that, where he's just like, I don't have like a fancy hamstring. John Meadows had some fancy exercises. I don't have a fancy hamstring exercise. I just never see someone go hard on the hamstring curl.
Yeah.
I never see them hit a set that they would feel was satisfactory on a show muscle.
Yeah.
Like I never see people do I never see anyone do intensifiers. No one does partials.
It's on the back of your body. Yeah.
No one does like assisted reps.
Yeah.
No one ever does an intensifier ever on a hamstring curl.
Yeah.
But no one even hits hard sets in the first place. If you lock in your technique to get it really stable and predictable and you audit yourself with a form, it becomes like, oh, yeah, this is all you, these and some RDLs is all you need. To have like big ass hamstrings.
Yeah, true.
All right.
Facts.
You got anything to say to the fellas, to the boys, to your adoring fans?
Road to 225 will be coming back. Like I said, my overhead strength back to all time.
Yep.
I would like my bench to be a little closer to all time before I start filming.
Who are you, me?
Road to 225.
Everybody's like, I want to see the beginning. I get bullied every time I show the beginning because that's always doing like a test. Like I need to work on my form for a little bit. Be like, oh, I could do that. Get the fuck out of here.
Right. Well, it only took me a month to get back, but I was like, you guys don't want to know what the fuck I started with on the Larson press because it was bad.
Dude, if I post a bad workout, I get guys like Protein Man telling me like,
no, you can't do that.
I don't think you can do 500 for 20. Bro, I'm about to squat 8, man.
I'm just saying.
It was a bad workout. I was sick.